All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It is Tuesday, Tasty Tuneage Tuesday. Hope you're all doing well today. Hope you enjoyed that episode yesterday with Paul Chabot. Once again, 50 years young yesterday. And you know, that was his third time here in the cave. And we can't do a Song of the Day under 10 minutes. We just can't. So maybe some of you stuck with the whole episode. Or maybe you just listened to it in parts. But that's the way we roll here in the cave. Just the way it is. What are we talking about today? Well, we're going back to this date, October 19th, 1979. 42 years ago, this record is released. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers drop Damn The Torpedoes. And this is just a huge record in my life. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about it today. Of course, I did do an episode on it in season 1. And, you know, I've tried over the last 520, 30, 40 episodes to not do too many repeats, but this is a huge record for me, and I can't expect that you have all watched all 540 episodes. There might be a few of you out there, but we're just going with this today. Damn the Torpedoes. All right, let's talk about this. This is a great record. You say, Mark, people want to know. They're like, Mark, who's your favorite artist? You talk about so much music. And I'm like, well, and then most people say, well, yeah, it's Pink Floyd and Roger Waters, right? And that's true. There's you know, we have a whole wall over there dedicated to them. So yeah, they're up there at the top. But if you look at songs played, music played, album played, artists played, Tom Petty is right there, neck and neck with Pink Floyd as far as my favorite. I'm just a huge, huge Petty fan, and when he died, it was just shocking. That was the one that was the hardest to take over the last 20 years for me. So, again, this record was a big one for me. I remember the first time I heard it. I told that story before. I heard this record for the first time in the early 80s, probably around 1981 or 80 or 81. Chris Zabiela's house in his older brother's room, covered with posters, and we were playing this record. And I was just like, this, I can dig this. Whatever this is, I like this. And then I would revisit the cassette again in the mid-'80s, right around 1986 or 7, with Sean Murphy, who was a huge fan of this record. And we played this cassette in his Volkswagen Rabbit, that famous story where we were heading to Vernon on Route 84. And for some reason, it must have been that cassette. But that car just wanted to go faster, unbelievably faster, and so we just went right by our exit just to get that car to triple digits. The first and last and only time that car hit that, but we were listening to this cassette at that time. Anyway, what's the story here? Third record. If you don't know this story, I'll tell it to you right now. How about that? Basically, they're on ABC Records for their first 2 records, and it gets sold to MCA in 79, and they didn't want to work for MCA. So Tom Petty said, you know what, you can't change labels without my consent. The contract is void, and we're not doing it. And MCA said, we're suing you for breach of contract. And this was a big deal in the record industry. I remember reading about it, front page of Rolling Stone magazine. I remember reading all about this in the papers, eventually settling and ending up on Backstreet Records, which was a subsidiary of MCA. And then later he did that song, Working for MCA, right? No. This record is just, again, huge. Produced by Jimmy Iovine, and he just pops up everywhere. He's just one of those guys that pops up everywhere. Why? Because he is just behind some of the biggest records that you know. Born to Run, Darkness on the Edge of Town, The River from The Boss, Making Movies from Dire Straits, Belladonna from Stevie Nicks, Rattle and Hum from U2. This guy just produced a huge number of great records. Then he went on, formed, not then, but also he formed Interscope Records, and then partnered with Dr. Dre, forming that Beats company, which sold for a cool $3 billion to Apple. So he's doing all right, living paycheck to paycheck right now. But this record, just so good. 4 singles. Of course, Refugee being the one that people know the most, and Even the Losers, Here Comes My Girl, and Don't Do Me Like That. These are just huge songs for them, right? These are just iconic. Interesting thing I read is the album came out and then the first single wasn't released until November 5th, and that's Don't Do Me Like That. Nowadays they release the single before the album comes out, right? Like they try to get you like attention to be like, oh, there's an album coming out. But when you read a lot of albums in the 70s and 80s, they would put the album out and then the first single would come out. That's just kind of interesting to me. But in any event, this has got a whole bunch of great songs on here, and there's a lot to like here today. So what's your song of the day, Mark? How do you even pick from these songs, right? I think when I did the episode before, it was Refugee. But to be honest, my top 2 favorite songs on here are Don't Do Me Like That and Here Comes My Girl. And your song of the day is Here Comes My Girl. Just love that song. It's a good one for today. So listen to this record today, revisit some Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Have a great day, and as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.